Number 7. Yesenia Garcia. On May the 24th of 2020, the police in Scottsdale, Arizona were called to a parking lot near the Hi-Fi Club while investigating a hit-and-run collision that had transpired less than a mile away. Officers ran into Yesenia Garcia and her boyfriend, who'd returned to the former's vehicle after spending the night at the club, to find that its windshield had been smashed. Law enforcement proceeded to make Garcia, whom they now suspected of being involved in the earlier hit-and-run, the focus of their investigative efforts. They asked her how much alcohol she'd consumed over the course of the evening before eventually taking her into custody for her alleged involvement in the collision. During the ensuing police investigation, it emerged that Garcia had not, in fact, been the culprit of the hit and run, as her vehicle had been parked in the lot for several hours at the time of the crash. As was captured by the lot's surveillance footage, an unidentified man had jumped onto the woman's car while it was parked, inflicting the damage to its windshield that officers later found suspicious. Garcia's charges were dropped, and the body cam video of her arrest subsequently went viral online. Seeking further recompense for her wrongful arrest, the woman filed a federal suit against the Scottsdale Police Department, allegedly seeking at least $300,000 in damages. Number 6. Maria del Carmen Rendon. In the afternoon of October the 15th of 2021, the police in Wake Forest, North Carolina, received reports of an assault by strangulation involving a 15-year-old suspect and a 14-year-old female victim. Officers subsequently conducted a traffic stop along the 200 block of Plot Hound Lane in order to investigate the allegations. The male suspect, a passenger in the car that was pulled over, reportedly refused to cooperate with law enforcement. The vehicle's driver, identified as 35-year-old Maria del Carmen Rendon, eventually fled the scene with the teen as well as 3 other juveniles. The woman narrowly avoided striking an officer as she sped away, then drove through a stop sign and nearly crashed into an oncoming tractor trailer. Rendon was pulled over again a short time later, at which point the police told her multiple times to exit the vehicle. She refused to comply, however, prompting one of the officers to inform her that they'd be forced to break the car's window to arrest her if she continued her disobedience. Unfazed by the impending consequences of her non-compliance, Rendon once more refused to step out of the vehicle. The officer thus shattered the driver's side window with his baton, and the woman was forcefully removed from the car. She was taken into custody and charged with resist, delay and obstruct, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, and driving while license revoked, as well as careless and reckless driving. In the aftermath, a video of the arrest was posted to TikTok, leading many to criticize law enforcement's display of force during their interaction with Rendon. A police department press release defended the actions of the officers involved, stating that they were forced to react to a situation that was entirely avoidable. Number 5. Ladonna June Paris. Members of the Tulsa Police Department in Oklahoma were called to the city's Habitat for Humanity restore on October the 25th of 2021. The responding officers were told by an emergency medical service worker that a bipolar woman had locked herself in the bathroom while allegedly in the midst of a manic episode. When law enforcement attempted to make contact with the individual, identified as 70-year-old Ladonna June Paris, from outside the restroom door, they immediately adopted a harsh, threatening tone, asking her, "Do you want to get tased?" Paris pleaded with them not to harm her, saying, "Get away from me," to which Officer Ronnie Carosia responded by laughing and telling her colleagues, "I love my job," as Carosia and another officer awaited the arrival of a third to break down the door. The former was captured on body cam footage expressing her gleeful anticipation for them to pound the door open and pepper spray Paris. That's exactly what happened a short time later when the officers rushed inside the bathroom and tackled Paris to the ground, inflicting a bloody gash on the left side of her face. The woman fought back as she was taken into custody on charges of attempted arson, assault and battery upon a police officer, resisting an officer, trespassing and cruelty to animals. In the aftermath, the general public levied heavy criticism against the Tulsa officers involved in Paris's arrest, whose behavior was deemed overly aggressive and unprofessional. Paris's criminal charges were eventually dropped by a judge who cited her unstable mental status as the reasoning for the case's dismissal. Number 4. Angel Goose. In August of 2022, controversial body cam footage depicting the arrest of California-based actress Angel Goose was released to the public by the Atlanta Police Department in Georgia. According to subsequent reports on the matter, 32-year-old Goose and a friend had been hanging out at a park when a masked police officer suddenly pulled up to the scene in a patrol car and asked the women for their IDs. He proceeded to give them each a citation to sign, but neglected to specify what their alleged violation actually was. Goose then asked the officer for his name and badge number, to which he responded with furious indignation. The interaction quickly escalated and the policeman used considerable force in his subsequent efforts to place Goose under arrest for refusing to sign a citation. In the wake of the incident, the woman filed a civil lawsuit against the Atlanta Police Department, alleging excessive force by the officer involved. The department defended the officer's behavior, indicating that he did not commit any violations during his run-in with Goose. The body cam video went viral upon its release on social media, with many siding with the woman and supporting her decision to issue a legal challenge against Atlanta police. Number 3. Samantha Glass. Arizona police were called to the apartment complex at 230 East Civic Center Drive in Gilbert after receiving reports about a woman allegedly trying to break into a pickup truck. Upon his arrival, Gilbert police officer Christopher Robinson encountered 36-year-old Samantha Glass, who was sitting outside the unit that reportedly belonged to her ex-husband. Robinson asked the woman why she'd been attempting to gain access to a locked truck, which was also her ex-husband's. Glass, who it would later emerge was intoxicated at the time, appeared confused by the officer's inquiry and allegedly struggled to provide relevant answers to his questions throughout their ensuing interaction. When Glass refused to disclose her last name, Robinson informed her that she was under arrest for attempted vehicular burglary. The woman resisted, and the officer then forced her to the ground, face first, causing her to cry out in pain. Blood began to pool underneath her head as other officers arrived at the scene. In the immediate aftermath, Glass was charged with interfering with a police officer and extreme DUI. She was eventually convicted of both counts and consequently ordered to pay a fine. Glass reportedly suffered a mild traumatic brain injury during her altercation with Officer Robinson and thus filed a federal lawsuit against the latter, accusing him of using excessive force to detain her. As always, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and maybe it will be your video that we'll be doing next. Number 2. Randall Worcester. A video of 3 Arkansas law enforcement officers violently arresting a 27-year-old man went viral in the late summer of 2022. The incident reportedly occurred outside of a convenience store in Mulberry, a city located roughly 140 miles northwest of Little Rock. It was subsequently reported that on the 21st of August, 2 Crawford County Sheriff's deputies and 1 Mulberry police officer responded to the store after receiving reports of a man making unspecified threats. As the suspect, named as Randall Worcester, was being detained, he was brutally beaten by the officers, as was captured by cell phone video taken by a nearby witness. One of the deputies punched Worcester with a clenched fist, as another dug his knee into him, all while the 3rd officer held the man down on the ground. In the aftermath of the altercation, Worcester was taken to a hospital for treatment before being released and booked into the Van Buren County Jail on charges of second-degree battery and resisting arrest, as well as making threats. Later, on the day of the arrest, Crawford County authorities indicated that they'd be launching an investigation into the matter and that each of the officers involved had been suspended pending the results of that investigation. Number 1. 2022 Berlin arrest. A pair of police officers from Germany were publicly lambasted after video of an alarming arrest surfaced online in September 2022. The viral recording showed the officers wrestling an unnamed man to the ground after responding to his Berlin residence on September the 9th. They'd reportedly been pursuing an arrest warrant against the homeowner for fraudulently receiving government benefits. When the officers initially attempted to take him into custody, the man resisted, which they responded to by taking him to the ground and placing him in handcuffs. The man's wife and children watched in horror as law enforcement used considerable force to restrain him on the floor. They also reportedly unleashed a series of racially charged slurs and insults while telling the immigrant family, "You are here in our country. You have to behave according to our laws." The woman at one point attempted to pry her husband free, but was rebuked by one of the officers who threatened to take her to prison if she touched him again. In the incident's aftermath, Berlin police opened an official probe into the conduct of the officers, who were accused of using excessive force and xenophobic insults during the course of the arrest. As of the case's latest updates, the investigation was still ongoing. Thanks for watching. Would you rather be tased in the groin or have one of your fingernails removed with tweezers? Let us know in the comments section below.